Welcome to the Success Journey Show. Let's travel together through the lives of individuals on the road to success.
What's going on, travelers? What's going on? It's Ricky Ventures and Marlon Madden, and we're back with you for another episode of the Success Journey Show. Marlon, what's good, bro? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How you doing, bro?
I'm blessed, man. I don't know if you're on YouTube right now, man. You guys can see the new frames that I got here. My wife wanted me to go a little Denzel, Malcolm X. So I tell you, man, I feel transformed, man, when I put them on. Shoot, man, I'm like, yo, yeah. A whole new world.
What you be telling her about any means necessary?
Yeah, by any means necessary. Let's go, man. I'll even get the rubber band strap to go around it so it don't come off. You know what I mean?
Hey, the Marine Corps, we call that the brain strap, man. You don't
need
that.
The brain strap.
Yo, you're a cornball. I see these young Marines walking around with the brain strap. I'm like, yo, hey, Marine, come here. And they're like, yes, Master Sergeant. I'm like, hey, come here. Take that daggone thing off. You look like a cornball, man.
But other than that, man, I've been good, dude. Just running around, having a good time with the boys and all that good stuff. And that's it, man. How about yourself?
Same here. People are going to be, I don't know where this episode is going to fall. They're going to see some of our endeavors. We're really excited. The first quarter this year, we've been rocking. We put 2 houses on the contract. And at the same time, we have one that's on the contract that's going to be sold after we fix it already. And then we have another one that we're going to be refinancing out of the first contract that we had it in, because we had it on the hard money lender. We'll talk about that process. Everybody should have saw that house. And it's going to be pretty exciting to tell them, 3 houses, first quarter. And then we don't know, we probably pick up a couple others before the end of March. So, it is what it is, man. You talk about it, don't be about it. You know what I'm saying? You do be about it, don't talk about it.
I was going to say, don't be about it. Is that what you mean?
I don't know. Yeah, sometimes
talk about it, don't be about it. That's the Instagram way. Instagram. Talk about it, don't be about it.
Yeah, talk about it, don't be about it.
Oh, man. But yeah, guys, man, we're just so grateful to be here for another week. And today we have another phenomenal guest that's joining us. It's funny, Marlon called me, FaceTime me probably like a couple months ago. And typically you don't FaceTime unless you're going to like really show me something important. So I'm like, man, why is this guy FaceTiming me, man? We just talked not too long ago. I know he's down training, where he's training at. And, I answered the FaceTime. He was like, yo, man, look who's with me. And he turned, and I was like, "Oh shoot, man! I feel like, how you find this guy? Where'd you find him at?" And we just had a great conversation, man. But it's none other than Shane McCrea. Shane, thank you so much for joining us, man, on the show, man. Really excited to just dive into your story and just share with the world a little bit behind the scenes of your journey, man. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh yeah, man, I appreciate it, man. So much, man.
The honor is ours, man. So why don't you start off by just sharing just a little bit about yourself, and we'll take it from there.
So I'm from South Carolina, born and raised. I graduated out of North Carolina right outside of Charlotte. Grew up single mom, in a very, low income family. Joined the military after being homeless before I graduated high school. So right after that, I ended up joining the Marine Corps. First duty station, Japan. Went over there, dealt with toxic leadership, went through a rough time. After those 2 years, I went to San Diego MCRD, and I was stationed there for 3 years, where I encountered another set of like very rough leadership. And then, now I'm here in North Carolina. I got here January of last year, January 1st. And, I started doing my content, and I've been doing videos for some years, just not military content specifically. And then July was when, my first video blew up. And I've been just, keeping the trend going since.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, so you said something that, homeless while you were, right when you were graduating high school, that led you into, saying, hey, I gotta do something to military, and thank God the Marine Corps. But talk about that homelessness and the single family and just that background, and what made you say, hey, I don't want to give up. I want to find a way to support myself and make sure that I'm something positive in life.
So growing up with with just my mom, I didn't meet my dad till I was 17. So, we was in a very low income family, and, I always wanted more for myself because, I used to look around and I see people with talent and dreams and ambition. And then, they just stayed in the local area. They never went anywhere with it. And I always thought to myself, like, I see people on TV, famous, coming from these other, they have these stories of these broken backgrounds, these broken homes. And I'm like, nah, I could do that. You know what I mean? And I just didn't even know what my talent really was, or how I was going to do it. Because, I started doing academics to try to get it that way. But then, ultimately I learned how to dance around like 9 years old. And that became my thing for a long time. And then, moving up, I moved with my dad at the end of my junior year because I wanted to meet my dad, finally, getting those conversations like, I'm going to spend my senior year with my dad. After that, my original plans was to join the Army. So I was like, I'm going to, spend my senior year with my dad, I'm going to join the Army. So I go to North Carolina, live with my dad. The whole year, man, we bumping heads, man, just going back and forth, man. And, because I was already who I was and he was trying to make me to what he wanted me to be. But it was like, it was too late. I was on the last end of like that teenage years going into, young adult age. And a few days before I graduated, we just kept bumping heads. And I ended up being put out the house. And, I had a job at Cookout. I was a manager at Cookout. So I was literally living in this motel, this rundown motel, man. It was so bad. But I was paying $212 every Monday to live in this motel. And I had a friend that lent me a car, this rundown car that, this car was like you had to go under the hood and take off like this pipe just for the car to cut off and then crank it back up. You put the pipe back on and then crank it. It was the wildest, the wildest. Like I was just blessed to be able to have transportation to my job. I was like, man, it is what it is, And during those times, I remember being in that motel and it's like hot as hell, summertime in North Carolina. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, man, like, where's my life headed? Like, where's my life going? Like, I want to do these things in life. I don't even know where I'm gonna go with this. And before that, I had already talked to the Marine recruiter. So I was like, man, you know what? I'm trying to figure it out on my own. Bump in the road, but I don't know what to do, man. I'm throwing my hands up. At this point, I'm just working just to say I got something to do in the day, And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go in. I'm going to join the Marine Corps. And I ended up going straight into the Marine Corps, like that September of that year, 2015.
Wow, man. I mean, so much, man, you already just put out there. It's like, going to live with your father, the expectation that you had, going into that and then not ending up where you wanted it to go. But what I heard from you though, is that you was like 17, 18 years old and you had that desire or that wherewithal to say, hey, I got to provide for myself. Like I got to do something, right? You say you were a manager at the Cookout, and I don't know, Marla, how many 17, 18-year-old, 19-year-olds, whatever that age is, that are executing on that level, right? You know what I mean? They'll be like, hey, well, I don't have any money. I don't know where to live. I ain't got no job. So I'm just going to go find some couch to sleep on or whatever it may be. But it was like, you were like, yo, I got to find something, even if it's not what you want, you got to find something. That spoke volumes of you, man. You talking about $200-something a month, a week. That's over $800-something a month that, you were paying. And I know the Cookout wasn't really paying you that much. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you still,
what you did. Don't tell us what you did, man.
Yeah. Nah. Because I was a manager, so I was making enough to afford it. Because we got paid every week at Cookout. But I didn't have to worry about food because I ate at work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It worked out.
You made it work out, dude. So you that decision, man, to say, hey, I'm gonna join this Marine Corps. I'm just gonna really go in. Like when you got to Parris Island, that's what it is, right? Parris Island. Parris Island. Did you ever be like, yo, what the heck did I think I should have? I should have stayed at the cookout.
Look, man, the first week wasn't bad because I got yelled at all my life. Even when I ain't did nothing wrong. That's just how I guess my mama just liked to yell at me. I was just a yellable person. So it just like I got to a point where like we was on the second week. I ain't gonna lie, I was up in my rack at night, just laying there looking up at like the rack above me, and I was like, "Yo, I want to go to home." Like I don't know. I thought being homeless was bad. I had peace of mind at least. You know what I mean? Like I was fed. I had a place to bathe, somewhere to sleep, and I had a job. That is really. If you told somebody you had all those things, they would think you were successful in life. But no, I had the lower end level of that. But at the same time, I had it. But being in boot camp, man, let me tell you, that second week, I was up all night just thinking to myself, like, yo, what if I just walk in there and be like, yo, can I just go back to the crib? And I ain't even gonna hold you. Like, I just go back to the crib. We ain't even got to get into all that. We just chalk it up as a loss. I just go home. And it was like, yeah, right, scream. It was just, 3 months later.
Oh, man, I feel you, dude. But but coming through that, and like, how did you feel, man? That graduation day,
Man,
just
not even
knowing
graduation day. I tell you, when I got that EGA in my hand after the Crucible, man,
yes, sir.
I was on top of, man, crying so hard. I felt like I felt like I hit the lotto. Like I was like, yo, can't nobody touch me. Like, yo, like
Yes,
we was walking around the squad bay, and I'm walking around with my chest out. People like, yo, we did it. You mean, yeah, you right, we did it. You thought I was gonna fail? Like, what you talking about? Make it out my face. You know what I mean? Like I was on one. And then graduation, man, when they dismissed us, my mom would tell you, I was still standing there when my family was walking up. And it was like, are you okay? Like, we're happy to see you. I was like, is this not a joke? Like, can I really go home? And it was like, yeah, you can go home. I was like, like you keep a dog in a cage so long, and when you open the cage, he don't want to come out no more. That was me. I was like, I felt like this is my home now. Like I have no other home. And it was like, well, if you want to get your Google, in the car, and we went home. So
now I know Marlon, man, when he came out, he had lost a good like 50 pounds. But I'm looking at you, man. Did you lose or gain when you were in there? I hate to see you.
Man, that was look. Let me tell you, I thought I was gonna lose weight too, and I was like, man, I'm already skinny, boy. I'm like one of them kids for 99 cents a day. You can help this, you know what I mean? But I was like, but I got slayed so much at boot camp because like I was Mr. Can't Get Right, like I could drill, I had a little swagger to me, but I just like I didn't understand the concept of like shut up, don't speak. But I would think every time something was said to me, I had to say something back, and then I wouldn't say it the way they said it. They'd be like, recruit McCrea. Why did you like turn this way? We turn this way. I'm like, and they say, I'm getting slayed. And it's like, I remember one time, and this is going to help explain what I'm about to tell you at the end. I remember one day I got slayed from sun up to sundown. I got slayed with the child, came back, got slayed with the child, came back, got slayed. I put on 15 pounds. When I came home, my girlfriend couldn't believe who I was. I was like, man, I ain't never thought I could gain weight. And it was all muscle weight, no fat, because I barely ate when I was in there. I was getting slayed in the chow hall too. So I barely ate at chow hall. But like, I tell you, man, like I put on 15 pounds and like I lost those 15 pounds on them 10 days of leave. I tell you that. And I'm right back to being my skinny self. I ain't never seen 160 ever again. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna ever happen. Never happen. Prime years, man. That was my prime years. They lasted for 10 days and they say no. By the time I went to MCT, man, I was back to being for 99 cents a day. You can feed this free. It was that simple, man.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm gonna tell you, man. Yeah, boot camp is different. They have a system because I went in. Well, I was vegetarian. I'm vegetarian, so I went from 190 to 160. And when I came back, I looked like a crackhead.
I was about to say that too. I said that boy came back like a crackhead, boy.
I saw some guys in Poughkeepsie, Rick, and they're like, "Yo, you got the monster?" That's what they used to call AIDS back then. Like, really?
Yo, I remember we had a guy like that too. He was like almost 200. And by the time we graduated, that boy, like he had married Jenny Gregg. Boy, that boy was so skinny. I was like, dang. Because I didn't realize he had lose so much weight because we were just going through the motions. And I messed around and I saw his mom was talking to him when me and him was talking, and she pulled up a picture. And I was like, dang, boy. I said, what is it, liposuction you in this? I wasn't looking. That boy had looked sick. Boy, I say, yo, you need a full meal right now. Like, boy, you about to pass out.
Oh, man.
So you said you went over to Okinawa. So
Iwakuni, Japan.
Iwakuni, Japan. So now you're really away from home. Granted, you understand being on your own, everything like that. However, you said, and a lot of Marines watch this show, and there's toxic leadership. Let's just say
100%.
There's a toxic leadership. And if we think there's no toxic leadership in the Marine Corps, we're lying to ourselves, right? Because we always say there's 10%. So there's always 10% in everything in the Marine Corps. So let's talk about that toxic leadership, how it affected you, and how did that even affect your overall life?
Man, I thought boot camp was the hardest thing coming into the Marine Corps. Boy, when I got to Japan, man. And then I was already nervous of going to Japan because I ain't never flew before. You know what I mean? I broke out my life. The most I ever did was drive to work. So we got on the plane. We flying one side of the globe to the other side. And then like we flying over nothing but ocean. I can't swim. You know what I mean? It's just so much things going wrong with this scenario. So I'm already depressed by even landing in Iwakuni. So I get Iwakuni, new Marine. I don't know what's going on. I don't even know. I went to school for my job, but just like every other Marine, we still don't know our job. So I came in there like, yo, I'm new here. I got my alphas on, it's pollen season, the pollen's out in the air. Okay, cool. I walk into work. My corporal's like, hey, didn't I tell you clean your core frames last night? And I'm like, yeah, I did. Why is there pollen in the crack of your core frame? And I'm like, I walk here. You know what I mean? Like I can't dodge the pollen on my way here. Like I walked here, but I couldn't say it like that, And I'm just like, good to go, corporal. He's like, all right, bet. Negative counseling. And I was like, here we go. Here we go. And then it went on from there, man, to like at a point where field day, we couldn't even keep our own personal linen on our bed. They made us for field day, you had to put the barracks linen on your bed and fold it like boot camp on the corners and everything, like the 16 inch, all that. So like if something could fit in your wall locker, it had to go in your wall locker. My TV, if it could fit, had to go in your wall locker. I remember I had cereal on top of my fridge. My math sergeant was like, why they cereal on the fridge? I was confused too. I wanted to ask the same question back. Like, why is it on the fridge? I don't know. She's like, put it in your fridge. Who eating cold Captain Crunch? That's what I want to know. Who eating cold Captain Crunch? So dealing with that, we can't even live our own personal life in the barracks. Then on the weekends, my master sergeant, one officer, we up age, smoke pit, drink, and have a good time. They standing behind the barracks watching us in the smoke pit. I'm like y'all ain't got no light? Like, y'all really just watching me right now? And like, it got to a point where like, I was like, okay, I need to speak up because, they're starting to do a lot of extra things. That moment I spoke up, they was on my head ever since. I went on leave. They took a picture of me a picture I took on leave with my family. They zoomed in on me on my face and screenshotted it. When I got back, I got a counseling for not shaving on leave. I was like, what? Yes, the extremes. Then I found out how they ended up getting to that. My master sergeant was having my staff and COs on the weekends report every Monday what they found on our social media. And if they couldn't view our social media because we blocked them, they would become cool with some other Marine that we know or just chop it up with them and have them pull up our social media. And they was really like hell bent on trying to control our lives. Like I just didn't get it. And I was like, yo, like this is not right. Like we already working at the post office during, overseas where it's super busy. Mail is packed to the ceiling. We don't really get no days off during this time. And we working from sun up to sundown. When I come into work, the sun ain't out. When I get off, the sun is gone. So I go to sleep, I wake up, do the same thing. And I'm like, yo, we already got this stress of work. And now, you messing with our personal life. Then when we come to work, any little thing that we do, they're ready to charge us for it. But they came after me specifically because, I requested masks and spoke up because everybody else was kind of like, the standby effect, you know what I mean? Where like you see something that's not right, but you don't want that energy on you. So you kind of just let it be. And people saw me speak up and they saw I got crucified. They was like, yeah, nah, we're not doing that. Yeah, we're not doing that. And it got to a point where I ended up getting 260 105s The first one I got, my friend got caught underage drinking, right? I wasn't even with him. But I got charged for providing. And I was like, how did I didn't provide him no alcohol. They was like, well, you knew he was drinking, so that's the same as providing. I'm like, who says I knew he was drinking? Well, we're gonna charge you with this, with providing alcohol to a minor, 6105. I was like, what? Then 2 months later, I used to dance. So I did this dance video in the McDonald's in Hiroshima. It was on the third level. I'm dancing on the table, but I asked the Japanese people before I did it, but there's nobody up there on the third level. So I'm dancing on the table because even the CEO knew I danced. They held a whole talent show and they came and watched me. So video goes viral because everybody knows I dance. They're sharing the video. And literally I get to work. Let's go see First On. Go see First On. I'm getting charged with disorderly conduct. They're about to NJP me. I take my rank because of me dancing on the table. And they're like reading it off to me, disorderly conduct. And they're reading it from the book, and it's talking about being under the influence. And I'm like, how did that go with what you're telling me I'm being charged for? They were like, well, you wasn't drunk, but it's the same as disorderly conduct. It's like the same thing. So we're going to charge you with that. And I promise you, this stuff is still in my files. It's the same 6105. And they ended up dropping it to a 6105 because I guess the CEO saw that I didn't mean no harm by it because he knows that I just love to dance. But I'm like, if you see I mean no harm by it, just drop the whole thing. You know what I mean? But I got another 6105 and I got non-rec for like a year. And I was just like, done. Like promotion was not even in the conversation. And then my family was going through things back home. My mom was going through a traumatic experience that she had went through that I don't have to speak about. And I'm away from home. I can't be there for my mom because I was the man of the house. I have 2 younger sisters. So my mom never stayed in a consistent relationship. So it's like, I was there to protect my mom. And now that I'm gone, I can't. And now I'm here. I'm dealing with all this stuff with this command that's steady targeting me. Even when I put in leave to go and leave with my friends, my stats aren't, boy. He was like, McCrea, put your leave in. I'll send it up, man. I was like, yeah, stats aren't. Explaining him my plan. Me and my friends plan to go to Osaka. We want to have fun. We're going to go here, this and that. Okay, man, put in the leave. I'll send it up. I checked MOL. He denies my leave and says, he non-recommends my leave and says, Marine doesn't have a solid plan. He just want to kick it with the fellas. And I'm like, isn't that the point of taking leave with my friends? Like you think we gonna like take leave and go like give a motivational speech to a group of Japanese people? Like we going to get lit and have fun, bro. Like 21, you know what I mean? We having a good time. And they denied my leave. I wasn't able to take leave. And like at that point, I was just like, yo, I can't get away. I can't even get time off. I can't do nothing. I'm watching all my friends in different sections go take leave, do this and that. I'm dealing with stuff from back home. My mom's going through this. My sister's going through this. And literally, I got to a point where I broke down. 2017, man, I ended up attempting to take my life because I felt like I was at a point where I tell people, when you're in a deep depression, you can be in a room full of people and still feel alone. Because people always be like, yo, we was there for him, man. Like I talk to him all the time. Like, why didn't he hit me up? But I'm telling you, when you fall into a deep depression, if you don't notice people that behavioral changes, because I had a lot of behavioral changes in that night that a lot of my friends noticed, but they didn't think nothing of it because they're trying to continue to enjoy their night because they're thinking like, no, McCrea's good. Like he's always joking, funny dude. McCrea's good, man. Like he just chilling at night. But didn't know that behavioral change led up into what I was supposed to be feeling, which I never had it in my mind that I would want to do that because I always thought to myself, people who did that, I was so confused about it. Like, why did you do that? Like, why didn't you try to, get through it or find, because I never knew someone who attempted suicide, even went through with it. So that night, I ended up attempting to take my life, and everybody was shocked. It was like, yo, why you ain't talk to me? Why? And the staff sergeant I knew, she drove from her house to the barracks when I got released from the hospital, and she like hugged me, tears, crying, and I just like, I had no emotion. Like I was so out of touch with myself that like I just didn't know who I was anymore, and I immediately reverted back to everything I went through in life, as far as a young age, dealing with, a lot of trauma, being homeless, and now what I'm dealing with and all these other things. I was just so numb. Like I told people, like, I literally felt like I was just here. Like I was just existing. Like I was just going through motions of whatever I needed to do in the day. And like, I was in a psychiatric hospital for a week. And during that time in Okinawa, when I got moved to Okinawa to the, psychiatric hospital, the Marines told me when I got back to Iwakuni to check out to PCS, because they gave me early orders. They were like, yo, Master Sergeant was like, yo, now our problem child going, we can finally work can finally function. And I'm like, I'm your problem child. Like you just pushed me to the brink of suicide, and you stood there at the hospital telling me how much you cared about me, lying to my face, which I know you're lying, telling me, if I ever need anything, reach out to you. But then, it's just how do you not care about a human being, like a person that your sole obligation is to take care of? Their parents sent them into the military in your care, expecting you to take care of them minimum, just take care of them. You know what I mean? Everything else military wise we deal with, that's outside of the norm. But it's like, just take care of my child, but you couldn't even do that. And it's like, and these people didn't have kids of their own, so they didn't have that connection with understanding that the level of care for a human being, they just look at us as like a number. You know what I mean? We were just a number. We were just another Marine. That's all it was, and we were just a body. And that really like, it really took me up for a long time. Like I was really like, I tell you, like I was so out of touch with myself. It took me a year to really just get back into reality.
Mm. Wow.
So now you're in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
San Diego's a different environment compared to Irakuni. San Diego, everybody knows after that, dismiss. Everybody's going out. Everybody, and also you could get lost in the shuffle. Meaning, friendship is not. To me, I don't know if Lejeune is the same way. I joined 2002. I was at Lejeune. Lejeune had more camaraderie than California. California, everybody goes out and one person lives in Temecula, But in North Carolina, Jacksonville's so small, everybody was over each other's house cooking or whatever the situation was. So how did the leadership, you said you followed another toxic leadership, how did the leadership over there even help you to come back, or what helped you to come back to that reality after that year?
You've been listening to the Success Journey Show. You can check us out on our social media on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Also on our website, thesuccessjourneyshow.com. Enjoy the rest of the show.
So when I originally got there, my leadership was amazing. So when I first got there, the leadership I had was amazing. And they knew about what I had went through when I was overseas. And they told me, like, our main focus, like, we're not worried about what happened overseas. Whatever they talking about, they tried to brief us that you're this, we don't care about none of that. Fresh start, we're here to take care of you. And this is good leadership. That's like, I don't care what you've done before you got here, what happened. We don't even need to know the story. This is your fresh start. What do you need from us to help you become a better version of yourself? And from that moment, I immediately start to feel good about myself, that I was in good care. My career started progressing. I'm getting promoted to corporal. I'm doing all these things. I'm getting all these opportunities. My PT's going up. I'm running a 300 CFT. And that leadership rotated out after a year of being there, because they was already there way before me. New leadership rotates in. And now I get mirror images of what I went through with that leadership. And now I got a staffing CO. And the thing is, it's a small shop. It's only like 4 of us. You know what I mean? But I got a staffing CO and a sergeant that's like, well, she was a corporal when she first PCS there, picked up sergeant. Now my whole life changes like full circle. Now, at first everything was cool. We used to play cards and stuff at work. Whenever we had downtime, everything was cool. And then just like out of nowhere, it was a switch in the momentum. When I walked into work one day and she was like, and I was like, hey man, I was wondering, she was like, it's sergeant. I was like, She's like, when you talk to me, it's sergeant. And I was like, oh, like I don't have a problem addressing you by your rank that you've earned, but we've all had a cool relationship here. And I never stepped outside of those lines to make you feel disrespected. It's always been casual conversation. But okay, let me see where this is going. Because, you just had this quick move switch when everything, you set the foundation of this kind of like environment with you, but now you all of a sudden just switch to, hey, look, it's strictly business. And I'm like, what did I do? So then fast forward, I'm on my way to work and I'm halfway to work and I call her and I'm like, hey, I text her. I'm like, hey, I'm on my way to work, but my wife wanted me to turn around and grab these packages to mail to her mom in Virgin Islands. That way my wife is from. So, okay. She texts me back. She's like, okay. So I turn around because I told her, it's going to make me a little late because right now I'm on time where I'm headed, like where I'm at. But if I turn around, it's going to make me a little late. She's like, okay. Turn around, we get the package. I come in, I'm like 5 minutes late. But I ain't tripping because I'm like, she knew I was going back. She told me it was cool. She tells me she's charging me with UA. And I'm like, how are you charging me? I said, you knew I texted you. She said, yeah, I know, but I still have to give you this paperwork. What? How does that even make sense? And I'm like, good to go, Sergeant. Let me sign that. As soon as I sign it, request mask, I walk to the battalion. Because I'm like, I already know how to play this game. I'm not about to do this again. I'm not about to go through this again. I'm not about to allow myself to go into a depression dealing with stuff like this again. So we get another corporal during that time from Lejeune. And, me and him are at the top of the list to pick up sergeant, right? So it's getting close time to pick up sergeant. We're already bumping heads in the shop. And then we go quarantine because my sergeant gets COVID, staff sergeant gets COVID. We had to work for like 2 months. So during the time, I get sick and I'm like SIQ, I think I had like a stomach virus. And the next morning, accountability text, they were like, because he was like, my staff sergeant was like, at this time, I want accountability text. But mind you, I'm on these medication that medical gave me to help me sleep because I couldn't sleep. I was in so much pain in my stomach. So I woke up a couple hours after that and I texted the group chat like, I'm sorry. I didn't roger up at the right time. But, like you guys, as you guys know, I've been sick. I'm on these medications. My staff sergeant was like, but what time did I tell you to roger up? And I'm like, good to go. Good to go, right? Remember that situation, right?
Yeah.
Now, we move forward. I'm on staff training to recall for staff level 2. And I'm talking to my friends about how I'm getting treated at work, and I'm like, man, look, when I pick up sergeant, bro, I'm like, this female's not going to tell me nothing. Because I'm like, we're going to be peers and I'm not dealing with that. And I'm going to let her know, like, as a leader, bro, she needs to fix herself, She had a friend that was on the course with me, a Lance Corporal, who recorded me talking to my friends and sent it to her. And so I come back off the course to work. I'm working all day. Nobody says nothing to me. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I ain't tripping, do my job. It's about time to go home. Like, bet. They released the other Marine. McCrea, you stay here. Okay. We close. They close the door. They stand in front of me. So is there anything you want to tell us? No, I don't know what you're talking about. We already seen the video, McCrea. And I'm like, what video? And he's like, do you want me to play it back? And I'm like, I'm lost. They're like, so on staff training, you wasn't saying whenever you pick up sergeant, ain't nothing she could be able to tell you? And it started processing in my mind on what happened. And I was like, I ain't said nothing. And he was like, I saw you share this meme on your Facebook where you said, it was a meme about a sergeant saying something to a Dream Marine. And the Dream Marine said something funny back to them, like pretty much like disregarded what they said. Mind you, me and my sergeant are not friends on Facebook. I shared this meme because it was funny. I love funny stuff. He screenshotted that, sent it to her because he's going to tell me she felt offended. He's like, I started to charge you for that. How could she feel offended when she don't even follow me? So you created that narrative by sending her a meme and telling her it's about her. I didn't do that. Because if she was following me and I shared it in my feed, yeah, maybe I was trying to get at her, but we're not friends on social media. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I didn't share that for her. She would never see this because we're not friends. I shared it because it's funny, but you screenshot it, send it to her. Oh yeah, this is about you. What? And he's like, we just think that you need to fix yourself and mindful, like things you're talking about outside this post office. Don't be talking to people outside this post office about the things that's going on in here. Cool, whatever, man. Chalk it up to the game. Moving forward, time for promotion. I'm like, cool, I'm about to get promoted sergeant, man. All this gonna get behind me soon. We just got a Dream Marine now, and I get non-rec. I'm like, what am I being non-rec for? It's a lack of leadership and maturity. Mind you, Dream Marine just got there. I was the lowest rank. Who was I leading? The ghost, like Lance Corporal Casper, like I was the lowest rank. And I'm like, love to say you're a direct reflection of your leadership. So if I like leadership and maturity, what does that say about you? we want to use stuff when we want to use it. We apply it when we're not gonna step that on that because that could double back on me. We're gonna just sit that over here. Yeah, man, you gotta fix yourself. You know what I mean? I'm like, makes no sense. So I request mass again. I'm like, yo, these people are really trying to come for me. And they're like, well, they said they have negative paperwork to show a trend that you doesn't deserve to be promoted. What negative paperwork? I ain't never got only negative counsel that I know. We are disputed that one. I've never got negative paperwork since I've been here. And then I'm like, I told the CEO, they are going, and me knowing for what I've been through my time with the toxic leadership, they're going to try to backdate some situations and try to type something up. Watch. And he's like, okay, we'll see. They bring in my record jacket. That phone conversation, when the phone text accountability, I had a negative counselor for that. Tell me this, right? I typed it up. My sergeant signed as a witness, and it says I was not available to sign. Help me understand this. You both have COVID. Y'all are in different locations quarantining. How was she there to sign for negative counseling if y'all was supposed to be in two separate locations quarantined? Make it make sense, bro. And I put it, I was like, too easy. Then they tried to give me a counselor for one day for her correcting me on something that I did at work. And I'm like, where's my signature on this counselor? Because she had to read this to me and give me a copy. I was like, I never got this. I have no, I don't even know what this is. And the CEO threw it out. He's like, it's stupid. So closes out, cool. I'm at the top of the list. Me and the other corporate I'm in a shot with, right? So I go on leave. I'm there for 1 day in the month. 1 day, the first day of the month. And I take leave. My leave starts that day at 16:30 because I'm like, man, I'm gonna take the rest of this month on leave so they won't have nothing on me. I come back from leave, I'm getting promoted. Go on leave, I get a call. Hey, McCrea, you're being non-rec again. What? I'm not even here. I was here for a day. How am I getting non-rec? They're like, oh, you sent this mail piece to this post office in Pendleton for the recruits that was supposed to go to this post office. Okay. My bad, but I didn't know I did that. Well, yeah, you did it. You signed for it. Okay, that's my bad. We make that kind of mistake all the time. And it's a simple fix. It's not like some serious things with mail. It's like with the recruit mail, going to these post offices, literally, bro, the post from reads there, put it in the govy and drive to the very next post office. Drop it off, easy day, right? But they take it and dress it up as a postal offense because people that don't know my job don't know how simple of a fix that is. It's not a major issue with us. Now, somebody on the outside looking in is like, wow, he committed a postal offense. All they know about postal, you mess it up, you're going to jail. So they thinking, I committed a heinous act. And I'm like, what? And then it was like, well, he denied it the first time when we told him this is that. And, then he later confessed to it. I'm like, yo, y'all got to be kidding me, bro. So I quest match again. Look, what's going on, yo? Like, y'all said y'all would handle this, talk to them. Now I'm on leave. I'm on my leave. Spent my whole leave requesting mask, talking to the CEO in the office my entire time on leave, trying to fight this situation. And then the colonel was like, McCrea, I think you should just, take the non-rec. What? Take what? Like, just bend over and take it, bro. Just bend over and take it, bro. And he's like, well, and I was like, sir, why would I take this? I'm like, because and I'm talking about the other corporate that's in the shop that's in line to get promoted with me. I'm like, they're harping on me about something like this, but I'm like, we all make mistakes in the post office. And I'm explaining our day-to-day on how we make mistakes, but we fix them so easy. He's like, well, see, that shows like a maturity right there. You're bringing up other people. Good to go, sir. Good to go, sir. I'm like, good to go, sir. And so I text this Marine because he knows the things they've been saying while I haven't been there because he's telling me they stripped away some of my accesses that I needed to work while I was at work because he said, Staff Sergeant was like, oh, he don't fuck with no snitches. So that's why he took this shit away. I'm like, cool, right? And they're saying all these other things while I'm not there while I'm on leave. And I'm hitting him up like, yo, you know this verbatim. Like, this is what they say. He's like, yes. Like, I can tell you for a fact when they said it, how they was like, pretty much plotting this whole thing against you. So I go back to the CEO. Yo, this Marine has seen this and he witnessed this. If he spoke on this, would this validate my situation? CEO is like, well, if he can validate this, then we will really look into this. Cool. Text this Marine. Yo, you need to come speak on this. He says, I can't. Why not? He's like, bro, because I'm overweight and they already threatened to weigh me. So if I speak on your shit, they're going to weigh me in and I'm going to get non-rec too. What? So he lets them hang me out to fry. He's 30 pounds overweight. He gets promoted to sergeant. I get non-rec. Then they're like, oh, you know what? We're going to come up with this whole plan to have you guys be able to work. Because I'm like, telling the CEO, take me out of the shop. Take me out of here. Nah, we want to leave you in there because we want it to work. We want you guys to learn to work together. So like I'm getting jumped in the club and instead of letting me leave the club, you're going to lock the door and tell me like, yo, swing back. Like, bob and weave, And it's like, cool, bro. I'll figure it out. And then the score ended up closing for 7 straight months. Oof. 7 straight months. And I had orders to go to Iwakuni, Japan, back to my first duty station, which I was happy to go back to because I'm like, what I went through there the first time, now I get to be in the leadership position. You know,
Yeah.
I get to do it different. And it's like, you know, I was ready to go back. I was so hyped. I feel like a second chance life, you know, and the score just kept closing out. And then say, you know, orders got switched to Camp Lejeune. And I was just like, yo, this is wild. So during this time, the time the score is closing out as we moving into around the mid towards November, the Junior Marine we just got, they can no longer pick on me because it's retaliation now. They picking on her. That corporate I got promoted sergeant, he picking on her too. Pushing her buttons, talking to her crazy, saying all, she make one little mistake. Man, you always messing up. You need to learn. Every time I tell you that, and she like got to a point where she snapped. She was like, yo, get out of my face. Like, I'm new here. I don't even know this job. Like, why are you like, teach me? And they're like, let's go see First On. And they tried to charge her. Right up a hole. They charged her, going to give her an NJP. She was like, they was like, McGavin, you need somebody to speak on your behalf. And I'm like, okay. She was like, I want Corporal McCrea. It was like, why Corporal McCrea? It was like, it should be somebody who, you know, really knows you or something like this and that. And then she's like, no, I want Corporal McCrea. That, too easy. Going there, I speak on her behalf. I speak so well. Like, you could see it in their faces. They were sick. The way I was speaking on this Marine's behalf. She kept her She kept her rank. All she had was like 14 days of restriction. All she got. Moving forward, they go back to work. You know, she kept her rank. You know, they didn't HJP her. You know, McCrea spoke on her behalf and helped her keep her rank. Like, why are y'all trying to like ruin people's careers? Like, you know what I mean? You overweight, you just doing some shicey stuff that I won't say on here because I don't look.
Yeah.
But the day it ever come to and they come this way with it, we're gonna have that same conversation again. We'll come back on the same podcast. We're gonna have that conversation. But you know what I mean? I spare you the first time, not the second time. So literally, I'm on leave to PCS, to Iwakuni, and my orders get canceled. So pretty much I'm still on leave. So my leave over, I come back, check, do my stuff over again, and go on leave again and come to June. So while I'm still on leave, the Marine calls me and she's like, Sergeant, they're really corporate, they're really bothering me. They're saying they're going to charge me, NJP me again because of this. I went out with my friends and my friends tested positive for COVID. Like, how did I know they was going to test positive? But they're saying I violated COVID guidelines. They're trying to like ruin my career. Like, Corporal, you're about to leave me. You can't leave me here by myself. And I'm like, you know, trying to give her positive advice. Like, hey, look, I'm not here to say, you know, this person's wrong, that person's wrong. We recognize the obvious. What you need to do is focus on yourself and not give people ammunition to make false narratives look true. You know, just giving her real positive insight. And that same night, she took her life. That very same night.
Oh my goodness.
Very same night. That, to me, that to this day, I've still not gotten over that because it's like, I was hurt.
Yeah.
Attempting to do the same thing because of what I was dealing with. And I was trying to help her. I was trying to be there for her. And I was just like, and I didn't have that mindset of like, man, I wish she would have told me this and that, because I know exactly how she was feeling in that moment. You're in a room full of people and you still feel alone. And it just made me so furious that, you know, these people just, you know, pushed her to that limit. But then you turn around and you dress it up. You say, oh yeah, we talked to her family, you know, she was dealing with mental stuff before she came in, you know, she had her own things she was dealing with. And then this is the colonel calling me, right? Because her mom called the base to speak to me. And she was like, my daughter always talked about a Corporal McCrea, how he was always helping her, PTing with her, and he was really there for her. I just want to tell him thank you for everything that he ever did for my daughter. You ain't let me have that conversation with her. You take the phone call and you pass it to me because you know if I have that conversation with that woman, I'm gonna let her know. I'm going to let her know, and whatever comes with it, because I've been there. Like, that could have been my mother. You know, just 2 years before that could have been my mother.
Yep.
And they would have dressed it up. It's not going to happen that way. And then they extend my leave so I don't come back during the investigation. They're like, hey, you need some more time off because you was really close to her. That's very traumatic, you know. And you know, we're going to extend your leave X, Y, Z. And I'm like, you just don't want me to be here for the investigation. And the investigation happens, whatever. I come back to work. At this point, I'm doing an IG complaint because I'm like, something has to be done with this. And I put in my IG complaint, so I get a phone call from the investigator. So I say, yeah, I got an important phone call and step outside. I sit in my car for like an hour and a half talking to the investigator. Come back into work. Everybody in the command is furious. Who was you on the phone with, McCrea? Why was you on the phone for so long? Because they're thinking I'm on the phone with somebody dealing with the investigation. Now they nervous. Like, why are you so nervous? Why you sweating right now? If you have nothing to be worried about, you know? But I ended up PCSing, you know, after all of that, you know, that staff sergeant, he ended up getting 6105. He got passed over twice. He's gonna retire as staff sergeant. That female did not get held accountable. That other Marine that got promoted corporal, promoted sergeant, did not get held accountable. But it's fine because people don't understand is that I have built my platform off of toxic leadership to send a message. And my platform has finally got to a point where now I am going to voice the real issues of retention in the military, and that's toxic leadership.
So now this podcast is going to be a real serious one. So there was already an investigation. There was already an IG complaint. So there's nothing new information coming out here. So now you're at Lejeune, different environment. You start to put out your TikTok and boom.
Hey, it blows up. Like, so I got here, mind you, man, this leadership I have here.
That's how that first video felt when it blew up. So,
all right,
walk us through it, and then walk us through that first blow up.
So, because that's how I created the character before I even did the video. One of my good friends, he's a staff sergeant of mine that we worked together, and he was fresh out the drill field. Mind you, he was in the drill field while I was stationed in the depot. When I was a corporal, he was a sergeant. But he always said, as long as we track him, that's always something he says because, you know, drill instructors tend to say that a lot. So I had a mass sergeant who always say bullshit when the Marine be lying. Like right when the Marine start lying, she was like, bullshit. Like she would always say that, like, you're lying. So those two sayings were so funny to me because I'm a goofy person. So I'm like, yo, that's just, every time I heard them say that, I was like, yo, that's just funny. So first video I ever made, right? Same day, I'm in the office. My master sergeant talked to this Marine about being UA, right? He overslept for hours. And he ended up coming into work. And she was like, why'd you overslept? He said, I wasn't feeling. She's like, bullshit. Like, you overslept. Like, he said something about, I didn't feel good. Now you hear my alarm. She was like, bullshit. She's like, listen here. But like, she gave him another chance though. And that's how good the leadership is here, bro. They gave me many chances. Before you get charged, by the time you get charged, you be like, yeah, I deserve it. You know what I mean? They done gave me like 50 chances. Like, I deserve, like, pay me out like, I'm here, bro. Take the wheel. But like, right after that conversation, I found that whole conversation funny. I literally went outside with the same Marine and put him behind the camera and reenacted that shit. And right when I was going outside, I just got watching a video where this dude was shaking Skittles on TikTok. And I was like, yo, black people always doing that when they got candy because we're so used to shooting crap. So they're like, you know, you just got to shake something in your hand. You know, you got to get your momentum right because, you know, you got to win some money. You want to go home broke. So like some people, that's the only way we're going to eat in the morning. So I'm like, okay, cool. That right? I take those three things. I take the toxic leadership that I've experienced and I add my own personal humor of my personality. I create this character. I do the first video and it does 100,000 views. It was the day before the 4th of July, 4-day weekend. And I'm like, you know, it does 100,000, but on TikTok, that's normal. You know, 100,000 is like, it's not like other platforms. You can get 100,000 really easy. So I get 100,000 views. I'm like, cool, that's good, but it's not great, you know? So I'm like, you know, I need to do something different. Like I need to add more of my personality into it and, you know, still address the toxic side of stuff. And then my boy was like, hey, you said that comment somebody put? I'm like, what comment? Somebody was like, yo, you need to do it as long as we track in series. And I was like, you onto something. So I do the video about Cancun. That was my next one, my second video ever doing these. And I did the one about Cancun, 1 million views before I got out of work. 1 million views. When that video hit 1 million views, let me tell you how it went. I was with people I know, and I was like, yo, I just did 1 mil, yo. Like, yo, I'm super blessed, man. Like, hot, like, yo, it's finally taking off for me. And then once I got in the car, I was like, bro, I'm that guy, bro. I said, everybody doubted me. They non-wrecked me. Try to NJP. You can't stop me. I do this. And I called my mom, and I was like, Mama, we gonna make it out the hood. And she was like, boy, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, not just yet, Mama. Don't start quitting your job. You know, black people love to do that when they hear good news. Don't quit your job just yet because you're bad as hell at me. Look, I'm about to take it somewhere, all right? My mom was like, what are you talking about? And I showed my mom the video, and it kind of like killed my spirit because my mom was like, what is this about? And I was like, I just forgot. You don't know nothing about the military. I don't even know why I said this to you. But I was like, you know, Ma, I'll call you back. I need to call somebody who know about this because you killing me. Because I got to explain to you every concept and you still ain't gonna get it. You know what? Hey, look, Ma, just when the money starts coming, just, you know what I mean? Just, hey, just go buy the house, man. Just go buy the house. You know, but I was super excited, man, because going through what I've been through, everything I experienced, my time in the military, and just I was always doing stuff on like content and things of that nature. And it's even crazy because my first stand-up ever was in July of 2019. And that same day was the same day 2 years later that my first video did 1 million views.
Mm. 1 million views, bro.
And that was before I even clocked out of work. I looked at I'm at work, I'm working, you know what I mean? I got stuff to do with the sergeant. My phone is vibrating like crazy in my pocket. I'm like, what's going on? I look at my screen is just like all type of stuff, like just going crazy. And I'm like, people calling me. I'm like, yo, I'm at work, yo, y'all call, bro, you everywhere, bro. You on this page, everybody talking about you. Everybody telling me, yo, you seen the guy with the Skittles? I'm like, yo, that's my boy. And then you got those one friends that call you on FaceTime. Bro, I told you I knew him, bro. I told you I knew him, bro. I'm like
me and Ricky. I'm like, yo, Ricky,
yeah, bro. And nah, because my friends, they extra with it. They be with a female. Look, bro, I told you I know that we go way back, bro. Like, tell her, bro. I'm like, yo, bro. Out here trying to find a new crush off of my success. You know what, man? Hey, kudos to you.
Go
man.
get
you
it.
know,
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Get it how you live, man.
Oh.
So how did that change you on the base, workplace? You going around, and Jacksonville is not a big city. You know, Ricky's father is from Jacksonville, actually.
The family's from Jacksonville, yep.
Yeah, his family's from Jacksonville. How did it
first blew up? It was like, everybody was excited for me, but then it was like, you know, hey, get your ass out to work. You know what I mean? We got shit to do. You know what I mean? Like, we understand you doing TikTok. Like, they supported my content fully, but at the same time, like, we got work to do. You know what I mean? But when we got time for that, we'll chop it up about that. But right now, Marine's feeling swim call. Where is this Marine said he had medical 4 hours ago? Where he at? You know, so I had real stuff to do. But then nobody knew I was on Lejeune though. Only a few people who were on Lejeune was familiar with the scenery, but people just couldn't figure out where that was because I never showed the exact place I work at. People would try to like, it was like a manhunt for me. Like everybody was like, every time I went on live or something, or every comment was like, yo, where you stationed? Where you at? What's your job? Who you work with? Hit me up like crazy. And like my request messages on Instagram before this, I had like 2 request messages. One girl telling me to subscribe to her OnlyFans, and another guy telling me to like some information he wanted to steal my account. But that's the only 2 request messages I had. After that, it was 99 plus the next day I woke up. 99 plus. I was like, yo, people care about me. You know what I mean? Like people really care about me, man. Like you can't like to go out of your way to message me, you really care about. That really made me feel good. I went through and I was over here replying to all of those messages. Then I realized I can't be doing that stupid shit because then next thing you know, people just won't stop sending me messages. I'm like, I'll leave y'all in a request unless it's important. But then when people started finding out I'm in Jacksonville, it'll be the randomest places. Like I went and got some Cajun seafood from the seafood spot out here. And I go make a TikTok later on that day. Somebody in the comments go, hey, Sergeant, how was that Cajun seafood? I'm like, boy, what the, like, oh, you spying on me? Like, I got real nervous. I'm like, what are you talking about? Or like, one time I was in line for a movie, going to watch a movie. These dudes was in line. I'm just standing in line. You know, I still look at myself as a dude that came from nothing, super humble. Like, man, I'm just out here trying to get $1 in a minute. So I'm just in line, you know, ready to get my popcorn. And these dudes behind me like, hey, we got a question. Are you that guy from TikTok? I'm like, yeah. Skittles, yeah, that's me. Oh my God, bro, can we get a picture? And I'm like, you want a picture with my, all right, cool, man, take a picture, come on. So like, we get together, we take a picture, you know? And then like, it would be random places I go, people see me, be like, yo, you're that guy, right? Or I'll see somebody looking at me and they do this weird thing, right? But they be like, like it kind of looks like him. I don't know. I don't want to be that guy. So, to say all black people look alike. So I'm just not gonna say it. So and it's like this one guy came to me one time. He was like, "Look, man, I know it's kind of weird, but do you do TikToks?" And I was like, "No." He was like, "Man, that's crazy, man. You ever seen the guy with the Skittles?" I'm like, "Oh, I think I have." He's like, "Yo, you look just like that guy." I said, "Yeah, because that's me." He was like, "No." way. I was like, yeah, man, that's me. He's like, dude, I watch your videos all the time, man. Like, man, me and my Marines, man, we crack up and like the craziest one for me was walking into PX and a group of officers was coming out, right? They in their service uniforms, and you can see the shiny on the collar. So I'm like, yo, get ready to salute. And as I salute, they go, oh my God, it's the sergeant. And I'm like, and they come dap me up. Hey, yo, let's get a picture real quick. I say, bro, I feel like I done made it, but I done got, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I went back
it
to
happened
work.
the day that we were getting the food out down Lejeune. This kid comes and goes, hey, Sergeant, are you the guy from You're the guy from TikTok? You're like, yeah. He's like, yo, man, I just love your stuff. You're like, hey, thank you, man. I was like, look at this. I'm chilling with a star, man. Yeah. You know I know him, right?
Yeah. Because like for me, it was super like, and I tell people like, for me, it wasn't a thing of like, yo, I'm that guy type of thing. When people come up to me and they're like, yo, I love your content. For me, it was so relieving and comforting after going through so much depression in my life to have people verbally come to me that don't even know me and appreciate what I'm doing. That was just and that's why people say, hey, yo, you mind if I get a picture, bro? Of course, man. I appreciate the fact that you appreciate what I'm doing in life. That's all I love, man.
Yeah. So how do you turn now that you're sergeant in the Marine Corps is a big deal because that's where that's the person that get this stuff done, right? So you being a sergeant, how do you intend to change that toxic leadership? What do you do in your space, your junior Marines, or even now that you have the ears of those senior Marines, because you could get into doors that other sergeants can't get in because of your content creation. What do you do with that, and how do you approach that to change it for the junior Marines?
Exactly what I'm doing right here on a podcast, using my platform to get on any platform I can get on and voice my opinion, because my videos are the comedy skits, but me getting on a podcast like this, any opportunity somebody hits me up and say, hey, bro, you want to be on the podcast? I'm not looking at your followers. I'm not looking at what your setup is. I'm looking at an opportunity for me to voice what I'm really about and be able to put that out there. Now they get to see that and hear that in full detail, not just me saying, man, there's toxic leaders out here. Me fully explaining what I went through during my time, the levels of depression I had to go through. And I am not like the average person where who can figure it out and get to this point where I'm at now, doing content, doing all these things. Some people, they never get to see that day. You know what I mean? They fall apart. They give up on their dreams. They get out the military and they just, they just want to have peace. They don't need that. They don't care about the nice things in life no more, or the big house. They just want to be at peace. And that's why I use my platform to do these types of interviews, to voice that, concern and make it a big, situation. And when Marines come to me with a very toxic situation they're going through, it's affecting their career, too easy, man. When you're free, we'll get on my Instagram live and you tell me and the world what's going on in your situation with your command. And I've done that with a female in the Army, no matter what branch you're in. I'm here. That. Yeah, and like people's reaching out to her from all over the places, like, hey, I know this person, or this is what you can do in this situation, just giving her resources and things like that. And that's what, it's about, because there are good leaders out there and they will help Marines like that, that's going through that. And when I'm voicing this and people, dealing with toxic leadership is just something that, it's said from some Marine and some battalion when he's in the office with a first sergeant. But to hear it be said on a bigger scale, for every branch to see, civilians to see, veterans to see, and see people go in my comments and tell their stories about their toxic leadership situations. Now it's like, we're gonna have to do something about this at some point, because now it's going to really make sense to those who really, because the people who are doing the numbers game for the Marine Corps aren't in it. So they don't really know what's the retention problem. Now, when I put the numbers with the reality of this is the problem of retention, now it's like the main problem we was having with in the military with branches of retaining people, we finally figured out what is the most biggest reason why people get out after their first enlistment. Even people who've been in 12 years end up reaching the command where they're like, bro, I ain't doing this no more. I'll get out and do something else. Because by this time, I got some other opportunity I can chase at this point. I got my degree or whatever. Now we figured out something that's really making retention so hard for the military. We need to come up, and that's not for me to come up with. I'm making it noticeable to you, and you need to come up with a way to fix this.
Definitely. I've been hogging the interview, Rick.
No, it's been good, man. You know the insides and out, man. I'm sitting there like, man, can you say all this stuff? Man,
Nah,
what's the repercussion on this end where, what do you have to be mindful of, as you even do share now to this level to make sure even the people that are sharing that they're protected as they're just like really just voicing, their concerns because, in the platform where you're trying to make things better, is there a risk where it can make things worse for yourself or individuals at that time?
So when you're voicing certain situations and things like that, it's always a risk, Either, you can have somebody be like, oh, you violated this and that, but you have to understand whatever you're planning on talking about, you have to understand those left and right lateral limits. You like personally, like I always tell people, the Marine Corps is a great organization. I would never attack the Marine Corps as an organization. My thing is those leaders that are in certain positions that are ruining Marines' careers. And that's why, like, when I voice my concerns, it's not, hey, the Marine Corps is bad, don't join it. I'm like, man, I love the Marine Corps. I love how it's structured. The Marine Corps gave me structure in my life that I never had. It gave me a mentality that I needed in life to be successful in what I do. But it's just that there are certain leaders that are very toxic and needs to get rid of. And even when you're trying to voice something, stand behind something, at any given point in history, when somebody has fought for something to change that wasn't right, that person, 9 times out of 10, crucified. But that change came. And you have to understand that, like, when you're fighting for a cause, you have to be willing to, just don't go out here being reckless, with your own personal things that you have going on. But you have to understand there may be a time where you're going to get put it in hot water to make something better for the next Marine. And me, I'll tell you, I'm personally okay with that because I went through what I went through in Japan. And if I would have voiced that as loud as I should have, then maybe something could have changed before I got to my next duty station. Another Marine went through something and look, that Marine took her life. When I requested mass before she got there, if the command would have took that serious, that those leaders would have been held accountable out of there. She wouldn't have to go through that. You know what I mean? So you make sacrifices because I tell people I make these sacrifices because people take their lives from this, People ruin their lives from this. People give up on dreams, hopes, everything. You really break people down and push them to a point where they are no longer in touch with reality. And I'm willing to, go bat to bat with toxic leaders and make it known. You know what I mean? And it's just not me being reckless of like, oh, I'm going to just throw my career on the line. No, I'm fighting for something that needs to change. It's not like I'm fighting for an award and I'm just out here saying all kind of crazy things. I'm fighting for the mental well-being of people. We know the military has the highest rate of depression, mental illness, people going to psychiatric, dealing with, counselors and stuff like that. We know that this is, you can Google this. People outside the military can see these statistics. It's not a secret. It's public information.
Yeah. I really love the fact that, Rick, that was a super good question. Because I'm here on this platform as a military member, as a Marine. Mm-hmm. And just like you're saying, I will never tell somebody the Marine Corps is messed up. Mm-mm. You would never say the Marine Corps is messed up. So we're not attacking the Marine Corps, or no. You'll never attack the Marine Corps. But one thing the Marine Corps or anybody can't argue is that there's toxic leaders.
Yes.
So if what he's saying isn't true, then you'd be able to say, hey, I could go at Sergeant McCrea because he's talking craziness. But because we know there's toxic leaders, I've gone through it. I've probably been a toxic leader at one point because you remember the old Marine Corps was just hard-nosed, boom, 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 just right. And it wasn't till you get some other leaders, because once you're under another leader, you emulate that person. And then you go here and you're like, oh, snap, this is another way of viewing it. This is another way of viewing it. And then you put everything in a gumbo and then you become the leader you are later on. But I love the fact that you're voicing your opinion. You're gonna get pushback from some people.
Oh yeah.
Always. But just like you said, you had that Malcolm X glasses on, Rick, and you're 100% right. everybody in society that has ever gone against the grain has always been the person to get stepped on at the initial, but the change came.
Yes.
So I love that statement, Rick. That was a beautiful question because it helped you to voice exactly what, because the commandant and everybody loves your content.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the commandant and the sergeant major is behind him. So I love it. And I mean, leaders, we just got to we got to look at ourselves at a different vantage point and understand where everything is. The world is changing so fast, and the way the structure of the Marine Corps is totally different from when I first came in. Mm-hmm. And the kids are acting or reacting differently to things that we used to just water. Now they're more intuitive, asking questions, different stuff, so it's an age-old problem without a solution.
Yeah, but not exactly what you're saying is true. Just so people understand, like, I'm not attacking the Marine Corps. I'm attacking the one thing that is well known as just our leadership. And I'm out here, just voicing that. I just want, the very thing that we preach, know your Marines, look out for their welfare. I just want us to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, man, I love that you came on and shared this story. A lot of people would see the comedy and not see the pain that birthed, the comedy. I mean, I would have never connected everything you shared today to any of your skits that you've done. And I'm just grateful to be able to, be a witness of you be able to share this program, your process, but also to all of our travelers out there. I was saying this to someone this week, a lot of people want the highlights of the story, like the big wows. I want I want the million hits on my video.
Yeah.
But you don't want the pain that comes with being able to create that content, right? And with everything in life, in order to receive greatness, there is sacrifice at some level in your life, right? You whether sacrificing mental health, and a lot of it is not even self-inflicted. It's just the nature of the journey, right? But when you go through that nature of the journey and you get to this other side of it, the beauty in the story is, in the testament of the story, provides that strength for those people that are coming behind you. You are now an advocate for anyone that is experiencing that toxic leadership, and someone that can talk to them personally and say, I know what you're going through. I know how you feel. I'm not going to tell you to go read a book and say, oh, you'll get over it. It'll be fine. No, I can sympathize with you and say, hey, let's talk about this, or let's not talk about it, because I just know where you are right now. Right. So, I mean, it's travelers. I want you guys to hear this story. I want you guys to look at your lives. I want you to look at your journeys. I want to look at the people that are around you. And for all those leaders that are out there right now, I want to challenge you to recognize, hey, what kind of leader am I being? And if you're not a leader, you've been asking yourself a question, why am I not a leader yet? And then what kind of leader do I want to be? Right. So, man, we're not going to keep any longer. We could be talking to you forever, man. I'm just like, yo, it's good, right? And there's so many different aspects of your story that we could have dove into, man. But I'm just so grateful that you've been able to come and spend some time with us. And before we let you go, for those that do not know, where you are, they haven't been one of the millions that have saw the videos. Share with them where they can find your content or come and see you live in person at a show or something like that.
Okay. So if you don't follow me already, you can look me up on any social media platform at ShaneOfficial_. That's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If you ever want to talk to me personally, just message me on Instagram. I view my request messages every day, and I see something in there important, advice, questions, anything I can help anybody on, I always respond.
Love it.
And I can attest, because that's how I hit him up.
And in the Cajun restaurant, in case they want to have lunch with you, No,
That's crazy, man.
No. We love it. Well, travelers, man, thanks again for joining us for another week of the Success Journey Show. Always remember, you can go to the successjourneyshow.com to see all of our previous, listen to all of our previous podcasts, or go to YouTube and see our previous podcasts. We want to thank you guys for joining us today, and we will see you again next week at the same time, same place on the Success Journey Show. Everyone have a good one. Peace.
One love.
You've been listening to the Success Journey Show, where your dreams, drive, determination, and diligence are the foundation to success. For more information, check out thesuccessjourneyshow.com. The Journey Squad is here helping you to your destination.